Now that you've found UBN Radio and discovered our quality talk shows, it's time to spread the word to friends, family, and the universe. 24 hours of music and talk radio without limits. That's why people keep coming back for more. That's UBNradio.com.
Online dating. I met this girl online. Online dating. I met this girl online. Clicked and fell into this date from here.
Hey, welcome back to the Larry Exercise Show. Hey guys, thank you for joining us again. Thank you for supporting. Thank you for the support. This is an exciting show today. Well, you know, all my shows are exciting. I get good people on this show. I want to thank Carolyn for producing and getting the guests here on the show. We have a lovely guest for you today. I think it's going to be exciting. I think you're going to enjoy the stuff we're going to talk about here a little bit. But man, I really want to thank you guys for the emails and text messages and stuff that I got. I got so much response from my monologue last week when I opened up talking about women in prison and women in healthcare and some of the abuse that it seems as if the system itself want to put on the shoulders of women. And thank goodness so far, you know, the Republican healthcare bill crashed and burned. And, you know, we talked about it that a big majority, well, most of the people that would be hurt the most in this health care bill that the Republicans had was women and children. And these people are heartless. They have no heart. They really don't care. You know, even if someone as crazy as Donald Trump called it a mean bill, then you know it had to be pretty bad. And as we talk about the power of women, and you know, on this show, I'm always talking about the power of women. And one of the things, because they missed and couldn't get the Republican Party, they have the House, the Senate, and the presidency, and they can't agree upon anything. So that tells you that the Republicans really do not know how to govern. The only thing they knew how to do was slash, cut, and chop. And they went after everything that this African-American president did. You have a bunch of white supremacists sitting in the White House. I don't care if you don't like it. This is just a fact. Breitbart, all you got to do is do the research. You don't have to take my word for nothing. Just go in and look it up. But you have all these people that is attacking everything the first African-American president of the United States, everything that he's done. And those of you that doubt that President Obama did a lot, what did he do? Well, you don't have to ask nobody what did he do anymore. Just listen to them talk about how they want to repeal and cut everything he did. Donald Trump has spent 6 months chopping away at everything this president did. So those of you that sit there and want to talk about, well, this president didn't do anything. Well, if the president didn't do anything, why is Republican arms are wearing tired from trying to cut against everything he's done? Just start to look at what they're doing. They're tearing out the progress that this president made. And so much of it had to do with women and, you know, equal pay for women, you know, and so on and on. And the health care, Obamacare, which is the Affordable Care Act, really helped support a lot of women needs and women and children. And we talk about the power of women. Now, although the Republicans couldn't get the health care bill passed, then they just said, well, we're just going to repeal it and worry about replacing it down the road. Can you imagine a human being that's getting government health care looking at you and telling you that you don't deserve or need government health care and we're just going to cut it off? But guess what? 3 women from the Republican Party stepped up and said, no, And it took three. And for those of you that are in the Christian faith, I'm not in the Christian faith, but those of you that are, remember, two or more come together then in his name and all of this good stuff and the power of three. And I'm going to try to get through their names, and I think you guys should be sending letters and text messages and phone calls to these three women that was brave enough to stand up against this party. And I think Susan Collins of Maine, Lisa Moskowski, and Sheila Moore. I may butcher the name up a little bit, but that's just neither here nor there. Go do your research, and then let these women know that you are behind them, because they are going to get a lot of heat for standing up against this whole Republican Party. So I really want to thank you guys for supporting me, supporting the battles and the fight and the progress of women in the country. And the thing about this health care thing, it's absolutely, it's mind-blowing. I think the senator that got shot, the Republican that got shot at the Republican baseball yearly annual game that they give, I think his name was Stephen Scarlett, or something like that. Stephen Scarlett. Anyway, this man gets shot, and no one deserved to just get shot down like this. But he's getting government health care. You think about that. But he wants to take it away from you. John McCain, a man that have served this country, and we all wish him well. No one wants to see anybody with brain cancer. And, John McCain, the funny thing about John McCain for me, when I say funny, I mean in the sense of my how I feel about John McCain over the years. And there was time that I actually saw him as the maverick. He's a maverick. I'm a wimp. I watch Westerns, and when they start shooting, I duck behind the sofa to protect myself. So, I'm not going to no army and no military to do anything. But the man served his country. You can't take that away from him. The man was tortured, and he survived that I would have wimped out. And, I'd have drowned in my own urine in order to get out of that kind of madness that Senator McCain went through. And so I wish he and his family all the best. But at the same time, everybody deserved the same care that John McCain is getting, that this senator is getting from being a gunshot wound. I heard someone say this today, if a 50-year-old man got the same disease that John McCain has, and they break and they repeal the Obamacare, Affordable Care Act, this disease, as I understand it, you can live anywhere from 6 months to 5 years. If the average 50-year-old that cannot get Social Security got this disease, he or she wouldn't last anywhere from 6 months to a year, because they can't get that kind of care. And this is the thing that the Republicans really don't care about their own constituents. And many of the people that would suffer from it are the very people that put these people in office. And once again, and going back to my little push here, as we move forward, let's not take a deep breath and lay down and do the sigh of release. It's all over with. No, these people are going to be fighting and fighting for the next 4 years, if not 8 years, to get something done on the repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act or the act. But this is an attack on women, man. They're attacking so many rights of women. I think they've already, beneath the table, pulled out something like $300 million out of women health care as far as the reproductiveness and the issues that comes around that. So we have to be vigilant and stay on top of this thing. And people, you got to vote, man. If your vote didn't mean so much, they wouldn't be trying to take it away. You got to get out there, from county, town, city, state, and on the national level. You got to get out there and vote. And once again, I want to thank you guys for supporting me. And please stay on top of the game here. Keep sending me your emails and stuff about the support of women and the power of women. As you can see, these three women, the Republican women, show what the power of women can do. And just like Bill O'Reilly. What happened to Bill O'Reilly? Because of the power of women, decided that they're not going to buy the products that is supporting Fox News, that is supporting Bill O'Reilly. Women, Black Lives Matter, Black dollars matter, women matter, and women's vote and women's dollar matter. We all need to watch where we spend our money and make sure we get out there and cast our votes and support each other. Now, moving right along, I want to introduce you to a guest, and this is a powerful young sister that we have here with us today, and her name is Kay. I'm just going to leave it to Kay, and then Kay. So let me get some applause over there. So look here, I want you guys to welcome Kay in the house with us in the Larry Experience show. And so Kay, tell us your last names before I butcher it up.
Richae.
See, I'm from Mississippi. I can't get that Richae. I'm just kidding. Beautiful name. Kay, welcome to the Larry Experience show.
Thank you so
Tell
much
us a
for
little bit
having
about
me.
yourself.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me today. I am a spiritual life success and business coach. I work primarily with women and women business owners. And for the last few months here in LA, I've been filming for the second season of a reality show. I can't yet share the name or the network. However, I can say that they have been chronicling some of my journey as a coach, working one-on-one with my clients. And next week, for the finale of the show, I'll be speaking live from the stage at my first live event, the Kay Richae Experience.
Yeah. Do you have a website?
I do. It's kayrichae.com.
kayrichae.com. See, now you get me to pronouncing this stuff. You're helping me out with this. How did you get into let's start step at a time. What brought you to this level of spirituality that you're speaking about?
You know what, Larry? What's interesting is truly the way that I have to answer that honestly is that it was just in me. Mm-hmm. It was always in me. I was a child who had this awareness of my spiritual nature. It's always been my thing. I can remember being a kid and looking in the mirror and knowing that there was more to me than what was in the mirror. Like I was like, wow, like I knew I was in this body. Mm-hmm. And it's just always been something that's been very important to me. So I was like the teenager in my room, like studying the Bible and spiritual texts.
Where are you from? Where were you born and raised?
I'm from Houston, Texas.
You're from Houston, Texas? Oh, girl, you from down there. Wait a minute now. Whoa, you just made... see what she did here, people. She just kind of interlocked spirituality with Christianity. And I don't know if you guys catch that. But she separated it there somewhere.
Yes.
And am I right?
You're absolutely right because, Christianity and the Bible, like for me, the Bible is definitely my master authority book. I came to get to know of God through Christianity, and I'm a student by nature. I've always been like a scholar and I love to study, I've always been a straight A student, went to college on a full ride academic scholarship. And so that's just my nature. And, the beautiful thing that I learned about God is that, like David said, there is no height. Like, God is infinite. You can't learn or grasp all of it. And so there's always more. And with that being the case, of course, if you really are disciplined and committed and devoted, then you'll begin to it will always take you beyond a text or beyond religion, and just being a student, I began to have my own experiences of God, and began to understand how God has designed the universe to speak to me in the language that I understand, with the messages that are for me, in order for me to be my best and highest. And honestly, I had no idea that and so that was my way of saying that it just began to take me beyond the Bible, and I began to see and hear God everywhere beyond just reading about God in the text.
Because you come from the Bible Belt.
Yeah.
And that's considered the Bible Belt. And by me coming from my country, Mississippi. Oh, by the way, Grenada, I would be in Grenada actually Friday night, Saturday morning, I'd be home in Grenada. So some of my old buddies, man, you guys look me up. You know where to find me. And I'm going to be pissed to the highest pistivity if some of you don't check your boy out now. But anyway, coming from the Bible Belt,
Yes.
it is really hard because it becomes a split from family members, friends, and sometimes community. Did you experience any of that on your journey?
What's so funny is, Larry, I absolutely did. I was a teenager, actually, and it seems so far removed from me now, but I did. I remember where my family thought I was like so crazy because I was like, listen, there's more to God than we've learned, and yeah, it was different for my family. But when they began to see the results and they understood that me saying there's more to God than just what we read in the Bible, when they started to see the experiences, the Bible says you can tell a tree by the fruit it bears. So you can't argue with fruit. So when they began to see the fruit in my life that was definitely had to be of a godly nature and a godly source, then, my family, they respected me, they understood, and they were more open. And they got to see that, going deeper in God and beginning to see God everywhere doesn't mean that you're not seeing God in the church or in the Bible. Because honestly, at heart, I'm still a Southern church lady. I have my tambourine and I have a praise to get it out, okay?
That's what I'm talking about.
Don't get it twisted now.
Yeah. But the thing about it is that, and this is some of the things that I say. When I know people that have lost their iPhone. They've lost a diamond ring or earring or whatever. They'll turn the house upside down looking for it. They'll turn the car upside down looking for it. They'll go through trash can and whatever, and then they'll go backtrack to the office or wherever they've been, to the store shopping. They do everything they can because they're looking for this item. So why should we feel that God is in one place? If you would go through and turn over every stone to look for a ring that you lost, but you feel you can go to one place and find all of God, that was one of the things that I couldn't buy. And that's just me. I just couldn't buy it. I know that there's wonderful, wonderful, wonderful stuff in the Bible. No question about it. But it's too small to house the God that I believe in.
I love how you said that. And that is such a great point, because that's something that, that's something that I began to see myself. It's like, well, if God is everywhere and there is no place where God is not, and everything that we see comes from God, like, that's what it says in Genesis, in the beginning, God, and then all of these things emanating from that source, there were just some things that I had to see beyond in that. And one of them was, God can't be somewhere else and not be where I am, because God is everywhere. I had heard that over and over, that God is omnipotent. I'm like, okay, so if God is everywhere, that means God also has to be within me, which means I have to be able to access that presence within myself. And then the other thing that stood out to me was when I began to understand from this place of, in the beginning, God, and everything else emanating from there, that also obliterated the thought of me having an original sin or stain or anything on me that could separate me from God. Because I'm like, well, in the beginning, he called me good and very good. He called all of us good and very good. And so when I began to really embrace and and work with this understanding, it really changed my life, because I got to see that when we try to limit God within ourselves, we limit the fruit of God that we can see. We limit the amount, the way that God can work through us. We're putting limitations. And really, when we really look at it, if we look at the teachings of Jesus outside of a religious nature, that's what he taught. He didn't come and work all these miracles to say, worship me, I'm the dopest, I'm the best. He came and worked all these miracles and transcended even death and said, these things and greater shall ye do.
Yes.
I'm trying to show you the power that's in you. I and my Father are one, and the same presence that's in me is in you, if you should choose to acknowledge it and cultivate it and allow it to work through you. So I just made my life about that and began to and made it. And you know what's funny? I was fine with that, just making my life about that. But then God sent the people to me, and people started coming to me. And when I started seeing people of various ages and races and backgrounds coming to me saying, you need to come and talk to Kay, you're going to be better, you need to come and talk to Kay, I was like, okay, God is doing something for people.
How did you incorporate this into your business?
Well, like I said, really the business came as a result of this. In my corporate life, I was a corporate trainer. I worked with all kinds of business owners and CEOs. I was a career counselor in a college, so it's always been a part of who I am, just doing the coaching and working with business owners to grow their businesses. But something that I noticed was that as a result of working with any size business owner, not only did their business flourish, but they grew as a person, and that was apparent to me.
So when you speak as a business coach, I'm a life coach, and I'm actually still in training constantly. I'll forever be in training,
absolutely,
as a life coach. But when you say coach, for those business coach, for those that is not familiar with that, what does a business coach do?
A business coach can do many things. You can find a business coach to help you in whatever area of your business you need help in.
But what about you?
I can say that for me personally, I specialize in helping people to identify their gifts and talents and monetizing them, so that we can live in our highest gift of service.
Well, so if people go to your site or and hit you up for some information, give us an example of what your coaching is.
Well, so I can give an example of one of my clients who we've been working together for 6 months. She's really amazing. She some of our work is chronicled in the television show. 6 months ago, she came to me and she said, I'm working this 9-to-5 job, but it drains my energy. It's not really how I want to spend my time. It stresses me. And this is what I really want to do. And she shared with me her true business plans and how she wanted to build her online accessory business and how she wanted to use her business to also impart confidence into women. And, she wanted to establish these different habits in every area of her life. So what I do is when I first have a client, I have them share with me, what is your vision in every area of your life? So we get clear on what is your best and highest vision for yourself. Like if you could design your life, what does that look like for you? And I can, in 6 months, just last week, she moved from Florida to Houston in this beautiful high-rise apartment, something she's been wanting to do for a long time. She is on her way to making $10,000 a month with that business. That we, like I said, we just have been working through that for the past 6 months. She's, establishing all these, she had health and fitness goals. She's establishing them now that she's in this new place and she's in this new energy. And something that blesses me so much. She's literally just sent me a text message a few days ago, and she said, Kay, I really can't believe all of this is happening because I feel like I didn't work hard for it. But something that I teach is that really alignment is the new hustle. When we're aligned with our best and highest destiny, then we allow the universal forces to work on our behalf, so that of course we have to work diligently, but things manifest much more effortlessly and elegantly than if it's just us trying to make something happen on our own. So with my coaching, I always follow a framework of love, faith, and inspired action. So with whatever person I'm working with, I get clear on where they are spiritually, and we work to establish their own spiritual practice in whatever way that speaks to them, so that then they can get centered, whatever it means for them to get centered in, we live in a loving universe and that God is love. Whatever that means to them, we get clear on that, because once you have that and you can see the way that the universe is for us and that God is for us and nothing can be against us, now we can have faith in something that's actually going to be powerful, because we're believing in more than just ourselves. So then that's when we develop the vision, and we let the vision come forth from within them. That's why the spiritual practice is so important. So when the vision is clear, now we can feel and know that this isn't just a vision of something I want for my life. This is actually the presence of God within me seeking expression through me. And so now we can have faith in that vision. And so from having faith in that vision, then we develop a step-by-step action plan that moves us to inspired action. And God is good, and you can tell the tree by the fruit it bears.
Give me an example. Take a client that is stuck, and he or she don't know which way to go. How do you approach a client like that?
Well, like I said, for me, I only share things that I've demonstrated in my own life. So, and I am all about connection to spirit. Literally amazing things manifest in my life because of connection to spirit. Like I can give, and I'm my own first client always. So I can give an example. So for example, last year, I knew that I had a vision to expand my brand and expand my platform. And I knew from studying building an online presence that no matter what you build, I want to teach people these principles via online classes and live events and all these things, right? So, but when you're building an online brand, no matter what you build, you always have to find the traffic, meaning where are the eyes, where are you going to, how are people going to come to know about you? I did not want to have to pay for traffic. So I said, I would like to figure out a way that I can be paid to get traffic. And then, and God gave me a vision of reality TV. So last summer, I started saying to my friends, I put it on my vision board. I was like, you know what? I'm going to get into reality TV. I'm going to bring some higher consciousness to that area. And it's going to be like Oprah with a splash of Kardashian. That was last summer. Literally, that's what I said. And then in November, one day in November, after my prayer and meditation time in the morning, like I always do, I asked God, besides my to-do list, what else do I need to do to move this vision forward? And this particular day, I heard, see if there's some shows to apply to. I never heard that before, but I was like, okay. So I did it. I applied to 2 shows that I just looked online. I never would have known about them if I hadn't done that. One of them wasn't even on the air yet. And it happened to be the one that worked out that I'm filming now, And so, and like I said, and this has even been more, this experience has been more for me than I was even expecting. I didn't know when I was doing the show that it actually was going to translate to my first live event. I had a vision for that, but this is definitely, like the Bible says, God is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all we can think or ask. It definitely has been that experience for me.
You spoke of your training in working in corporate America, and you formally educated.
Yes.
What is your educational background?
Yes. So I have a bachelor's degree in marketing from Butler University, and I've also been trained as a coach with Christian Mickelsen's Coaching Academy. He's a renowned business coach based out of San Diego. I also have trained extensively with John Assaraf. Some people may know him from the movie The Secret. He's my personal mentor.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with him.
Yes, he's my personal mentor. We have collaborated for the last 2 years. I'm very grateful for that. So, really and truly, I seek out the best training for myself. Like I said, I'm a student by nature. I seek out the best training for myself, and I let it work for me in my life. I think that's another important thing, too, for people who are wanting to actualize things in their life, especially spiritual people. It's like at some point, you can have all the good feelings you want, but you're going to have to move to inspired action.
Yes.
If you're not willing to move in inspired action, it's not going to work.
Yes. So how did you end up here in California from Texas?
Well, as I said, everything about me is with spirit. So
I love that.
True
Yes.
story. This is a true story. I had gotten divorced. I had lost a child. I had gone through
I'm so sorry
a
to
really
hear that.
devastating time in my life, and I had my daughter from my marriage, and I was at a space where, you know, what I thought was God's vision for my life was clearly not God's vision for my life. So I was in a space where I was looking for, well, what is the vision that you have for my daughter and I? And like I said, I've always been a student and, you know, seeker and everything like that. And so I would go to the library and check out books all the time and things like that. Well, one day, probably for like 2 weeks straight, I heard the name Michael Bernard Beckwith come into my mind, and I didn't know where it was from. I said, maybe it's an author that I've seen. I don't know where I know this name from. But next time I was at the library, I was looking for some books by Wayne Dyer, and I came across a recording by Michael Bernard Beckwith. I was like, wow, this is the guy whose name has been in my mind. I still didn't even listen to it. Literally the next day, a friend of mine called me and said, Kay, left me a voicemail. He said, Kay, I don't know if you're familiar with Michael Bernard Beckwith, but I'm listening to some of his stuff and you would love it. And I was like, okay, God, like this is the language God speaks to me in that I understand. And I listened to the recording and I knew that this was my spiritual teacher. I knew this was my spiritual teacher.
He's a good man.
I was coming wherever he was. It just happened to be in Culver City. So I
And
came to LA to grow.
Okay, well, you know, look like you're really doing a wonderful job of it. Let me ask you, with what you're seeing going, because I'm sure many of your clients or future clients you're gonna run into this politics thing.
Yes.
So, what are you seeing in politics now that really gives that opening for what you have to offer?
Well, you know, something that I think is really important. Something that I think is really important for people to understand. I think that many of us feel like there's so many things that seem to be against us and against what we stand for and against what we'd like to see in the world. And, you know, the beautiful thing about that is I feel like we live in a time where people understand we're not helpless. We're not victims of circumstance. That really, when we see things on a grand level happening in a way that we're not happy with, that's a call for us to take a stand. The philosophy that I live by is that each of us has gifts and talents to share in this world, and that we really get in touch with that. We get to sharing those gifts, and that's how we create the world that works for everyone. You don't like the things that Donald Trump is doing? Get up and share your gift. Shine your light in the darkness. What are you going to do? Mm-hmm. What are you going to do about it? And I think that it's so beautiful when people find like a righteous indignation in that way, because the presence of God within us is unstoppable. The presence of God within us is unstoppable. So honestly, I haven't been upset off my kilter at one point by anything that Donald Trump or, you know, anyone in office has done, because I know and I see that life is good unfolding. You know, and everything that we need to be all that we are is what we're given in that moment. I was so happy at the Women's March. I was so happy to take my daughter to that. Okay. For her to see people of all colors standing together and chanting Black Lives Matter, that rights for everyone matters, that women's right matters. You know, I feel like that's powerful when we take a stand and we say, I'm going to stand up and I'm going to share my gifts and I'm going to make it better. I'm not just going to whine and complain and be a victim.
How old is your daughter?
She's 11.
Wow, great.
She just turned 11 and she's at camp right now.
Yeah.
And she's,
you want to send a shout out? Say hello to...
Hi, my baby, my princess. I can't wait to show this to her. That's right. I'm glad you said that, because if she watched this and I didn't mention her, oh my God.
That's right. And then what is her name again?
Her name is Kanan Salim.
Kanan Salim. You got to slow down. I'm from Nippitippy. I can, you know...
The way you say
I'm
that
slow.
is hilarious.
I'm slow. I'm slow. But pronounce her name slow.
Her name is Kanan.
Kanan?
Yeah, Kanan Salim.
Salim.
Yes.
Is there a particular meaning to that?
Absolutely. She's named after the promised land, the land of Canaan, and the holy city, Jerusalem. Because I want to.
Well, hi, Kanan.
She's awesome. She is amazing. She's the
Yeah.
most amazing 11-year-old I've ever met in my life, and I'm not just saying that because I'm biased. She's an incredible artist.
No, how could you possibly be biased? No, I believe her, Kaylin. Yes, that is really wonderful, because I mean that's really what it's all about. Is
Yeah.
trying to, for me personally,
Yeah.
is trying to open. I am where I am because I ride on the shoulders of so many.
Yes.
And then not only was I on the shoulders, there's some with the extra effort and kind of pushed me up
Yes.
that I grabbed the wall above my head. And hopefully I can pull others up. Started with my kids and helping others. And that's one of the reasons why we decided to do the show, is to promote that kind of spirit, that kind of energy that you have. And I really want to thank you for coming on the show today. I didn't know what to expect, but boy, look here, she's a fireball, man. I'm loving this.
Thank you so much.
I am
Larry.
loving this. Where's the book now? I mean,
And you know what?
see,
Actually,
I'm saying.
I do have an ebook available on my website. It's called Undefeated: How to Turn Any Setback into a Setup for Your Comeback. But I really want to say one thing real fast, something that you
Please,
mentioned when
go
you
ahead.
talked about us standing on the shoulders of others. And I really wanted to say this, especially from the aspect of a minority. I feel like that this is a time where we should feel more encouraged than ever.
Oh, yeah.
Because, when I think about my ancestors and the people that came before me, like when they were marching, when they were working for rights, it was mostly just them. Today, we have people all over the world advocating for our equality. The UN says you need to treat African Americans right. Like, I was really moved when I saw people in India marching, holding signs saying Black Lives Matter. Like, if that doesn't make us feel like this is a race that can be won, and where we end up triumphant and standing in unity and in equality with our fellow human beings, and I don't know what is,
Well, what happens with that, and look, don't you guys send me no bad letters and text messages and stuff about what I'm going to say, because this is where I see the world. Being the descendants of slaves here in America, there were so many that participated in the slave trade. And we know that. We don't have to get into the names of those that participated in the slave trade. But then there was such a lonely feeling, because I ask people all the time, if you take a Mexican American, Hispanic American, if he or she found a new land, they could raise a Mexican flag. If you take a person from China or Japan, the same thing. If they found a new land, they could raise a flag. But as African Americans, as black people in America, what flag would we raise if we found a new land? We're so freaking brainwashed that we will raise an American flag, but then the American flag does not want to honor us. But to say that is that to see other people, the UN and other countries now coming along, because they can see the brutality in the evening news now. They can see the police, the murders, or the assassination of black men and women on TV screens now. And many of them are shocked because they thought we were just lazy and just complaining, and they didn't realize that what you see on TV is that doesn't even scratch the surface of what we've gone through in the community. Not back in the 1800s, but as up to 2017 and 18 coming. But I like what you said, that when you see people of India, you see people of the UN, you see people in Mexico, you see people in Asia saying Black Lives Matter, wearing T-shirts that saying Black Lives Matter. That should make all of us as African Americans and as the world community sit back and say, wow, this is just the consciousness itself is the change.
Right. We're evolving. And I think it's important to note, too, that even here in America, most Americans and most white Americans are not on the side of people who are against us.
That's true.
We have more for us than we ever have. That's why it's coming to the surface. Because people are starting to refuse to turn a blind eye. I have friends that are not African American who, let me tell you, when they show the videos, they're more indignant than me.
Yes.
And they speak openly, like, at first I felt a certain type of way about hearing people saying Black Lives Matter, because I'm like, all lives matter. Literally, these are conversations I've had with my friends. And then they see the videos and they're like, but no, Kay, Black Lives Matter. Like, because they see what we're saying. And it's like, it's an important thing for people to understand that just because I affirm me does not mean I'm denigrating you.
I like that. Now say that again. Oh, now hold on a minute. Slow down, Kay. I love that one. Say that again, girl.
Just because I affirm me does not mean I'm denigrating you.
Exactly. I love that, because that is so well put. And I have lots. I mean, this show is sponsored by someone that is not an African American. Mm-hmm. So we have so many people, and because that gives us a voice. Yeah. This voice that we have right now.
Yes.
And so much I have learned. There's so much I have learned over the last few years that really has helped me to heal. Yes. Coming out of the South in a lot of ways, because they're whites, they're Asians, they're Hispanics that I personally know. Yes. When they see the hurt in my eyes, they reach out and try to comfort me and say Black lives does matter, and they're no longer taking it as I'm saying Black lives are better.
Right.
See, that's the thing.
Yes.
Too many think Black lives, when we say Black lives matter, we're saying Black lives are better. That's not what we're saying.
Or not Black lives only matter.
Yes. I consider us as African American the frogs in the swamp. Mm-hmm. And so the frog in the swamp is because the frog breathes through his or her skin, then the ecosystem around the swamp is monitored by the health of the frog. If the frog is not healthy, that means the whole ecosystem of the swamp is something wrong in the whole ecosystem, and the whole ecosystem will fall apart. Black people are the frogs in the swamp of America, and that if our communities and black people are not healthy, then that is a sign that the country is not healthy. And this is where you saw from the crack devastating our community, and then you see now it leaks over into the opioids and leaks over into the methamphetamines, into the white community, into the Asian community, into the Hispanic community. But you could look at what was going on in the black community. Now when you look at police brutality, once again, the frogs in the swamp. You saw visually the murders and the shootings and the killings of black people, and then it is sad that this young white lady, I forget what state it was, being shot by the Somalian policeman a couple of days ago.
Very sad.
I mean, this woman, and if you, for a second, I just want to do the white thing. This white lady had absolutely no fear. She had absolutely nothing in her consciousness that made her afraid to approach that police cruiser. We as African American would have stood back from a distance, although we called the police and said, we need your help. We need your help. But she didn't have that. She saw the police as coming to serve and protect her. She felt safe and walked to that police cruiser. And that's what got her killed.
I think that's such an important point. You said she felt safe. She was secure in who she was. And God bless her soul and her family. And how many times have we heard when it's an African American person and they felt secure in themselves and they walk toward the person, it's like, no, but I feared for my life.
Yes.
So it's like it does give a different face to the experience, and probably helps people to empathize and understand more that as a sovereign being in a free country, I'm not naturally just going to be afraid of a fellow human being if they come up to me and ask me a question, whether they have a gun or a badge or not, but sometimes people can only see through the lens of their own fear. And so it's like it makes it difficult for them to see things objectively. But I do think that, like you said, in this situation, people can see how she would feel secure and be like, hey, this is who I called, and not feel any fear and something devastating
No,
took
there was
place.
nothing in her conscience that made her fearful of walking up to that, because that is
Yeah.
not her experience.
Right.
And what's so hurtful, when I saw the father, and once again, my heart and prayers goes out to the fiance. I couldn't
Yeah.
imagine having to bury my fiance. It doesn't matter. Right now, color doesn't matter with what I'm talking about.
Not one bit.
The father, and I have a daughter. I couldn't imagine having to bury my daughter behind a police killing. Is there a phone call coming in? Yeah, why don't we take the call? You want to pick up the headphone there?
Oh, sure.
We got a few seconds.
Our records show that you have not updated your free.
Okay. That's okay. But so to have that kind of pain and suffering, and I tell people all the time, see, if I'm attacked by a black thug or white thug or Asian thug, it's different, because I have the right to fight back. And I'm expected to fight back. And if I don't fight back, in many cases, it's my fault because I didn't fight back. But with the gun and badge, I can't fight back. Therefore, I'm at the mercy of someone who see me as a threat, although I'm looking at them for protection. And that is what happens with this young lady. And so I just wanted to share that. Thank you for sharing your thoughts on that. We got about 5 minutes going on. Kay, I'm so enjoying this with you. You got to make sure you come back here. You make sure you come back and interview with me after your show is aired. And I know it's going to be mucho successful and all of that kind of stuff. And
Thank
Yates
you
may
so
be called and
much.
say, look, hey, whoa, wait a minute. Hey. I'm kidding.
But he already did. No, but no, I also would like to say, if anyone's in the LA area, they can feel free to join us at the live event on this Wednesday, approaching at 6 p.m.
But speaking to the mic, be just a little bit clear.
I also wanted to share that for anyone who might be in the LA area, I would love for you to come and join me at the Kay Richae Experience this Wednesday. If you'd like more information, you can look me up on Instagram or Facebook under Kay Richae, Kayrichae, like Rich A.
Rich A. So is this a pilot for the show?
It is. It's like my final scene that I'm shooting for the show. So it just so happens that my final scene, it's chronicling me going from working with clients one-on-one to doing live speaking from the stage as a public speaker.
Yeah,
so
you guys, you've been really blessed to have some great mentors. And Dr. Michael, I love Michael. He and I, we know each other really well from years. And in fact, I got to get Michael. You got to come on this show. I'm going to call him up and drag him on this show. He's so busy.
That's right.
So what's next, girl?
So like I said, what's next is the live event. From there, I'll definitely be doing more live speaking engagements. And then also I'll have some online classes coming out for people who would like to raise their consciousness and achieve their goals with me. I'd be happy to guide you through that.
Well, I think we're at the end of the show, Jarvis. We got about 3 minutes. So what we generally do, Kay, I always let people, my guests, give us a few words of wisdom as we close the show down. So give us a few words of wisdom as we close the show.
Well, something that always speaks to me and blesses me no matter what's going on in my life is there's a quote by Albert Einstein where he says, one of the most important decisions you'll ever make is to decide whether you live in a friendly universe or not. And that really sat with me, because really it comes down to, do I really believe that God is for me? And if God is for me, nothing can be against me. And so that means I have to look at my circumstances through those eyes and to know that there is always a way, even when I don't see one. And there's an African teaching, an African spiritual teaching that says, nature goes before us, providing what we need before we knew we needed it. And I just want to leave everyone with that no matter what you're experiencing or facing, just know that God has already provided what you need before you need it. And if you'll just tune into that consciousness, the answers will come and everything will be all right.
Well, thank you so much for that. I just want to thank the lovely, beautiful Kay for joining the show here today and putting up with my ranting and raving and all of this kind of stuff. You know I'm not well, guys. You know I'm not well. But, you know, I want to leave you with some thoughts that is in my heart. We are blessed or gifted with whatever phrasing you choose to use, whether it's a religious belief or spiritual belief, or if you believe in higher consciousness or intelligent design. It doesn't matter. We have the most beautiful gift that our consciousness could even survive, and that's this wonderful earth and this beautiful sun that is surrounded by 9 planets that has this order. And this order is what gives us the life that we have, that we can connect with a higher consciousness, that the universe is now speaking out loud to each and every one of us as individuals, collectively, and a whole. And because we are so blessed to be on this beautiful blue planet that we call Earth, we are obligated by those laws to be the instrument that sends the message of spiritual music to one another and help each other healed and to be the best that we can be moving forward. And whatever your spiritual beliefs are, if you're Muslim, if you're Christian, if you're Jew, Hindu, it does not matter.
Yes.
But just find that way that God has given you to elevate someone else.
Yes.
And there you will find some self-healing anytime you're in emotional pain, suffering, of physical and emotional sickness. I like to lead the show, and as you guys know, that a nation can rise no higher than it elevates its woman. This is Larry Yates. Once again, I see you next week, guys. Thank you.
and fell into this date from hell. She looked nothing